there were a few questions related to God's goodness and evil. How can God be good and yet evil happen in the world? One of you asked, what is the problem of evil? Maybe you've heard people talk about that. And the problem of evil, simply stated, is just that, this idea that if God's in control of everything and he's good, how can there be evil? How can he allow evil to happen? Or how can he cause evil to happen and still be good? And actually, Arminians have the most, I think, logical explanation for this one. In fact, I was in a class once, and our professor is an Arminian, and he was talking about the problem of evil, and he said, look, if you're an Arminian, like, you have a great answer for this one, and if you're a Calvinist, you're kind of out to lunch, like, you're on your own, I can't help you. So Arminians would say that the reason that God can be good and still allow evil in the world is because he gives people free will. And so he gives people the option of whether or not they're going to choose good or evil. He gives up the control over their lives, doesn't have control over their choices, because he wants a genuine, real relationship with them. He wants them to genuinely love him without being forced to love him, and he wants to have that real relationship. And so he sort of has to give them these two options of whether they're going to choose evil or choose good. He wants them to genuinely choose good. And so that's how evil can exist, because God created these two options, and so created the ability to sin, the ability to do evil. So it's actually, and that's good. They would say, Armenians would say, and that's actually a part of God's goodness in that he created free will. So he can allow evil things to happen because he allows people to have genuine choice, genuine free will. So that's from the Arminian side. How can God be good and still allow evil things to happen? Well, it's because he lets people choose, and they have a choice. Calvinists have a very difficult time with this. This is one that's hard to explain. How can God be good and make evil things happen, or decide that evil things are going to happen? And Calvinists want to affirm this biblical truth of God being utterly good, utterly perfect. He doesn't do evil things. He's good. And so, well, how can it be that he plans evil things to happen? They have to say something like, God stands differently behind evil events and good events in the world. So God stands sort of differently behind them, and they might even use the word permission. He permits evil things to happen, and he determines or causes good things to happen. And they would say that God permits evil things to happen and causes them to happen through secondary agents, so through Satan or through humans. But because ultimately it's not him the one directly doing the evil thing, but it's this other entity doing the evil thing, that he's not evil in and of himself, and yet behind good things, he is directly responsible for good things happening. And Arminians would come back at them and say that's illogical, and that doesn't make sense. And Calvinists would have to say something like, I know this is really tough, but that's just sort of how it seems in Scripture. That seems to be the way Scripture portrays it. So Calvinists are a little bit inconsistent. They have a difficulty on this one. How can God be good and allow evil in the world? So that's that. Those are your two options for that. Either you have to say something as a Calvinist, it's kind of mysterious, but I want to affirm both of them are true, that he's good and he allows evil things to happen. And as an Arminian, you would say, yeah, he's good, and the reason he allows bad things to happen is because he allows people to choose. He allows choice in the world. So that's that.